Hey everybody, Qroo here. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be comparing the following two Spanish constructions. Llevarse bien con alguien, to get along with someone, and caerle bien a alguien, to like someone, but literally to fall well to someone. And you know how expressions are in any language, a lot of times they don't make sense when they're literally translated, and this is an excellent example of that. I've had several viewers ask me if these two particular constructions are interchangeable, and the short answer is sometimes, but not always. Don't worry, it's not going to be that tough to understand. Fortunately, we make the same distinction using similar terms in English. So think of it this way. Just because you get along with someone doesn't mean you necessarily like them, right? It's all about context. Well, in Spanish, it works the same way. Take a look at this sentence. Los chicos se llevan bien. The kids get along well. Without further info, most people would infer that, they like each other, they're getting along well. You could be more specific and use the caer expression, but reciprocal. Los chicos se caen bien. The kids like each other. That's the distinction. They get along well, they like each other. In that example, there's probably not a big difference between the two, but take a look at this. 7 razones para llevarte bien con tu ex. 7 reasons to get along with your ex. Now, do you think that that's the same thing as 7 reasons to like your ex? I don't think so. I think most native English speakers would agree that those two English sentences are not saying the same thing. Well, it works the same way in Spanish with these two constructions. So that's your answer. Now, if you're already very familiar with these two constructions and you don't want to learn more about them and you use them all the time, you can just stop the video now. But I suspect that there's some folks watching who may not be familiar with these two constructions, so while I'm here anyway, let's go ahead and go down the rabbit hole and cover both of them, all right? Let's start with llevarse bien con alguien, to get along with someone, and that alguien part means someone, so that's what you'll be taking out and then, putting whoever you're getting along with in there. This expression uses a pronominal verb. Don't freak out with the grammatical terms. Those are the verbs that end in se in the infinitive. So we're using llevarse. Llevar without the se means to carry. It's a very common verb in Spanish. With the se, if you want to think of it as you carry yourself well with someone or even badly with someone, I'm going to talk about that. Whatever helps you remember this particular construction. Back when I was learning Spanish, I would often learn these constructions as literal translations in my head so I could remember them. I would think of this one as llevarse bien con, as to carry oneself well with someone or badly with someone. See, I can remember that. Me llevo bien con Juan. I get along with Juan. Me llevo bien contigo. I get along with you. In Spanish, we never say con ti, with you. It becomes contigo. The same thing happens when you want to say con mi. Te llevas bien conmigo. You get along well with me. You can drop the con, the with part, altogether in a reciprocal statement like we get along well. Nos llevamos bien. You can do the same thing when talking about other people. Juan y María se llevan bien. Juan and Maria get along well. If you don't get along with somebody, you're just going to tweak this a little bit, and instead of saying bien, you're going to put mal, which means badly. Llevarse mal con alguien, or you could just say no llevarse bien con alguien. Mis hijos se llevan mal. My kids don't get along, or they get along badly. And of course you could have said, mis hijos no se llevan bien. My kids don't get along. That's not too tough, right? You got that. Now let's move on to the other expression. This one does tend to be tougher for English speakers, to kind of wrap our heads around. And when I first saw it, I thought the same thing. I said, this is all kind of backwards. So we might spend a little bit more time on this one. Now you may have noticed that I put that word le in parentheses on the screen, and that's how I recommend you put it in your word list. And the reason I do that is just to remind you that you're going to be using indirect object pronouns with that verb in this construction. And here are those indirect object pronouns: me, te, le, nos, os, and les. If you're not familiar with direct and indirect object pronouns in Spanish, I do have some videos that cover that. I cover it pretty early on in my course, From Cero to Conversational. That's a course for folks who are just getting started and want to learn a lot really quickly. I also have another video where I talk about how direct and indirect object pronouns work together with different verbs. You might find that useful. So I'll put a link to it in the description section of this video. All right, take a look at this sentence. I like Maria. And this is not in a romantic way. It's just like, I like her. She's a coworker. She's a nice person. If I wrote out the whole construction, it would be, a mí me cae bien Maria. But because a mí and me seem very redundant, right? It's very clear from me who we're talking about. A lot of times that a mí part just gets dropped and it would just be, me cae bien Maria. Me cae bien Maria. I like Maria, but literally, Maria falls well to me. This construction is very different from English, and that's why it gives us English speakers a rough time, right? Because in English, I like Maria, I'm the subject, right? That verb's mine. Who likes Maria? I like Maria. And Maria is the object of that sentence. Well, in Spanish, it's the opposite. Maria, the person I like, is actually the subject of the sentence, and she controls the verb. And although I like her, I become the object of the sentence, because what it's literally saying is, Maria falls well to me. If you're familiar with the Spanish verb gustar, to like, this construction today works the exact same way. Just think of gustar. With gustar, we could say things like, a mí me gusta esquiar. I like to ski. A mí me gustan las fresas. I like strawberries. But literally, skiing is pleasing to me, strawberries are pleasing to me. Caer bien or mal works the exact same way. So you might be wondering, why can't you just use gustar? Why can't you just say, a Juan le gusta Maria? Well, you actually can say that, but it comes with a different meaning. When you use gustar with people, it often has an emotional or a romantic connotation. So if you say, a Juan le gusta Maria, people may think that Juan doesn't just like Maria, he likes her. So if that's not the meaning you're trying to get across, you should really stick with caerle bien or mal. And don't worry, it's not, a regional thing. It is used all through the Spanish-speaking world. Take a look at the screen. There's several sentences there. They're all very similar. And it's all saying that somebody different likes Maria. You'll notice that the first part of several of those sentences is in parentheses. And that's just to show you that that section is often dropped because it's clear from the indirect object pronoun, the me, te, or nos, who we're talking about. You could include it, but it's often not there. A mí me cae bien Maria, or just me cae bien Maria. A ti te cae bien Maria, or te cae bien Maria. A usted le cae bien Maria. You like Maria, the formal you, usted. Now, it doesn't have parentheses around it, but I could drop it if it was clear from the conversation who I was talking about. But if I just put this sentence up there and I just put le cae bien Maria, you would be like, who is the le referring to? Who likes Maria? So for clarification purposes, I left it in there. That's why it's not in parentheses. Same thing with our next one. A Juan le cae bien Maria. Juan likes Maria. A nosotros nos cae bien Maria, or more likely you're just going to hear nos cae bien Maria. We like Maria. Why can you drop the first part? Because it's very clear from nos that we're talking about us, because we couldn't be talking about anyone else. When we're using the indirect object pronoun les, we're often going to leave that object in there for the same reason, because with les, it may not be clear. A ellos les cae bien Maria. They like Maria. So you think you got this construction down? If you hear it used, you can figure out who likes who. Let's see. Take a look at this sentence. A mis vecinos les caes bien. A mis vecinos les caes bien. Who likes who here? Can you tell? The neighbors like you. This literally says, to the neighbors you fall well. And we know it's you because that verb conjugation tells us so. It is the you, the informal one, the tu form, and it's caes. Now take a look at this one and tell me who likes who here. Al profesor García le caen bien todos sus alumnos. Think you got it? Professor Garcia likes all of his students. Literally, to Professor Garcia, all of the students fall well. That is so awkward in English, isn't it? Do you want to go ahead and try some of these on your own before we call it a day? Let's just do 5, okay? Because this video has already been a little long. Translate the English into Spanish. Ready? Do you like the new math professor? ¿Te cae bien el profesor de matemáticas? And for you folks who like to speak in the formal, you might have had ¿A usted le cae bien el profesor de matemáticas? And some of you may have had la profesora. Any of those are fine. Our next sentence is playing off of that one a little bit. Yes, I like him, or I like her. It won't change the sentence which one you chose. Think you got it? It's really short. Sí, me cae bien. That's it. In Spanish, we often drop the subject when it's very clear who the verb belongs to. So in a sentence like this, when I'm asking, do you like the new math professor? You wouldn't have to ask, yes, I like the new math professor. You just be like, I like him or I like her. Now, in this sentence, because the way it's phrased, him and her are not objects. So what this literally says is, yes, he falls well to me or she falls well to me, but the he or she, the subject of the sentence, is dropped. You'll see the same thing with the verb gustar, to like. If I ask you, ¿te gustan las fresas? Do you like strawberries? Sí, me gustan. Yes, I like them. But literally, yes, they're pleasing to me. That might be a good topic for an entire video. I don't know. All right, let's go on to the next one. The brothers get along well. Los hermanos se llevan bien. I bet that one seemed pretty easy after that last one, right? Juan does not get along well with Maria. Juan se lleva mal con María, or Juan no se lleva bien con María. Either one of those is fine. And our last one for the day, does your grandmother like your boyfriend or girlfriend? I never know what to do during this pause time. I should get a book or something. Ready? A tu abuela le cae bien tu novio. A tu abuela le cae bien tu novio. So how'd you do on those? Did you get them all right? If you did, that's awesome. This is a tough construction, so give yourself a big pat on the back. If you didn't, don't be so hard on yourself because, well, it is a tough construction. It's just going to take some practice, but don't worry. With practice, you'll reach that level where you're going to be able to spit these out with no problem. You'll be talking about who's falling well to who and who's falling badly to someone else, and it's going to be a piece of cake. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, if you'll just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.